guys, UFC Qatar has wrapped up a juicy card, kind of wedged in at 6 in the morning here in Australia, a bit earlier in America, which I know is good for my next guest. You know him for absolutely killing it in the sport, killing it at UFC 322, by the way, and of course, always delivering on ESPN and everywhere he goes. Brett Okamoto, welcome to the program, man.
What's up, Dennis? How are you, man? And you're right, I do love these early start times. This was a good card, plenty of finishes. It's only 1:15 p.m. over here in the Pacific Coast, so I got my whole day ahead of me still. I got to continue to work and watch boxing, but it's still not too bad to be done in the early afternoon, huh?
Perfect, man. Well, that's the show. Thank you so much. You've kind of broken down everything. Okay, couple of fights we'll get to, and the first one we're going to start off with. Arman Tsarukyan was able to dominate Dan Hooker, go on to a win. One of the key moments there was this knee that Arman was able to land through the middle that looked like really messed up Dan Hooker's eye to the point that it was closing, and Dan was kind of looking at his own face towards the end of the fight and just laughing because it looked like the whole side was just completely shut by the end of the fight. Looked like maybe some kind of small breakup there. But apart from that, you know, Arman was able to look very, very good in this fight. Dan Hooker came in shape, ready to go. What was your reaction from this Arman Tsarukyan win?
Yeah, this is why we were excited to see Arman fight Islam at the beginning of the year, and we got robbed of it because of, a lingering back injury that Arman said that was obviously pulled him out during the weight cut. You have that whole debacle, and since then Dana White is kind of mischaracterizing that as a failed weight cut, and Arman saying it wasn't a failed weight cut, it was a back spasm. Whichever reason it was, we didn't get the fight, and I don't know if we'll ever get that fight now, Arman versus Islam. But that would have been such a good fight, and now we see why. Arman he's a world class fighter, man. I mean, I think you could make an argument for. I always submit these pound for pound rankings after all the pay-per-views, and you go through the champions, and you're coming down to the end of the list, and you're like, who's going to round out that top 10? Arman Tsarukyan could be in the top 10 pound for pound, man. He is very, 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 very good, and we saw that.
Yeah, he's young, he's dangerous, he's game. He just really showed it. I think the question for everyone was, okay, how does he look like at the top level, headlining this card, coming back from everything? And earlier on in the week, we saw the headbutt, and he was kind of a little bit emotional. But I think tonight, he showed a lot of composure in that octagon, right, Brett? After the fight, he tried to sort of do a decent post-fight speech there, which we'll get to. But I know a lot of people are giving Dan Hooker crap here, which I cannot understand, because Dan Hooker is the only guy in that division that put their hand up to fight. By the way, this is what people don't understand as well. Dan Hooker, some name value, can totally be like, I'll fight this guy on the list. Like, he could have totally picked some other guy on the list. And there's so many in that lightweight division he could have picked to fight, right? He chose the hardest fight possible. And Arman said it himself in the octagon. If it wasn't for Dan Hooker, he probably wouldn't even fought this year or been in this spot. Like, how crazy is it some of these people spewing hate at Dan Hooker for stepping up here and doing this, man?
Who are these people, man? I don't pay as close attention to social media as I used to. Are people giving Dan Hooker hate? I mean, what do you want the guy to do? Like, he ran it. He came prepared. I mean, like, the guillotines maybe a little ill-advised. I'm not sure why you're turning to a guillotine that early in the fight. But also, he gets in there and he feels what he feels. He probably, I don't know. I mean, this is pure speculation, but just watching it, I'm not going to be able to stop this guy's takedown. So I might as well try to get him in a guillotine. And those were at least solid guillotine attempts, but you're not going to get that on Arman. And so I guess that would be the only thing to criticize Dan for, his decisions to go for guillotines pretty much straight away in the beginning of this fight. But other than that, man, I mean, the guy, like you mentioned, came in shape. I know that he was confident. He was extremely confident he was going to win this fight. And that's why he took it. So, like, in a certain respect, yes, he deserves credit for being the one to put up his hand and take it. But he took it for reasons. He took it because he wanted to jump the line. He took it because he wants to fight for a championship fight. So he had a lot of confidence in his abilities in this one. And that's what you want to see when you got a guy who's like a 6-1 betting underdog. Like, at least he thinks he's going to win. Dan thought he was going to win. But yeah, Arman is just too good.
He's just too good. But you know what, though, as well, what people don't realize is, Dan's on that new contract, so he makes a certain amount of money per fight now. And that's why we see so many guys through the divisions, really like just cherry picking their fight. Because after you get to a certain point, you'll still get paid that amount of money for your contract. And Dan could have picked anyone, and he went with Arman. And of course, great opportunity, great reward. And of course, he comes off a loss here, and we'll have to see what happens with his face. It looked like some kind of minor fracture in his face. But when he recovers, I'm still, I think we're all still excited to see what's next for Dan Hooker. I feel like Dan Hooker is one of those guys that doesn't need a title, doesn't really need to be in the contendership area. Like, you could just put him anywhere on the card and he makes that card pop, right?
For sure. Yeah, I ain't got really nothing to add to that. Dan is hilarious, and he does come ready. And to your point, sometimes you see the athletes who get on those nice contracts, they stop caring about winning or losing. And it doesn't mean that they come in completely out of shape. It doesn't mean that they come in and they want to get beat up, but you can just tell that their motivation changes a little bit. It's just staying active to collect that check, in one way or another. And the win itself does not become as important. And I think that kind of happens sometimes naturally as your career progresses anyway, once you've been in it for so long. But yeah, I thought you made a good point about he does have a nice contract, but he doesn't look like one of those guys to me that's sort of just showing up to collect it, because we have seen that. We do know what it looks like, and that's not Dan right now.
Hey, by the way, so Arman Tsarukyan, for me, man, I would love to see him fight Ilia Topuria next. For me, that's the fight to make. And I was sort of did a quick reaction video after the fight's finished, where I was like, it's going to take me some time to break that fight down, because obviously we'd say, Ilya's better striker and Arman's better grappler, but there's so many little bits and pieces to breaking that fight down. I would really give Arman a great shot at beating Ilia Topuria here, but the UFC moved Paddy Pimblett up to number 5. We know that there's money to be made in this Islam Topuria fight, which I don't think makes any sense at welterweight, but we know there's money there, and there's White House cards and all sorts of crap happening behind the scenes. So let me ask you this, man. What would your reaction be if the UFC still push on with this silly, Paddy Pimblett fight first, because that kicks off the year? Then we see what happens with this Islam thing. What would your reaction be if Arman is still on the sidelines waiting for his opportunity next year regardless?
I would not be surprised at all. In fact, I kind of lean that that's still what will happen. And I do think that there will be some of us in the sport that says this is silly, that this doesn't make sense. But, that happens from time to time. And when that happens, I will say that I think that some people get carried away with talking about it like it happens all the time. It doesn't happen all the time. Like more or less we see the fights that we're supposed to see in the UFC. So when it does happen and we know that it's for promotional reasons, let's call it, but let's also not get real dramatic about it and be like, oh, they do this all the time. No, they don't. They do make the fights that make sense most of the time. This one, it's just, it's starting off a new era on a new broadcast partner, and there's heat with Ilia and Paddy. And honestly, man, I think we're all kind of dealing with half information here, because we don't know what Ilia truly wants. Ilia obviously wants to go and chase Islam, but we haven't really gotten his input all that much. He said he's disinterested in Justin. He said he's slightly more interested, I believe, in kind of Paddy, but even that, he says, an easy fight. But Ilia is kind of funny in that, he's always seems disinterested in every fight you ever bring to him. Remember when he first won the title and he's like, no, I'm not interested in Max Holloway. What? Who are you interested in if you're not interested in Max Holloway? And so he always kind of has this thing where he sort of poo-poos all these other fights. But I would love to know what the conversations are like between him and Hunter Campbell over there in Qatar right now. Just what does he want? What is he willing to do? But my guess, as sitting here as of right now, is that they will do the Paddy fight. And it would not shock me, since Arman even threw it out there, that he's like, hey, throw me on January. It wouldn't surprise me if the UFC at least put it to the fighters, Gaethje and Arman, that you will be on that card as a potential backup, Gaethje versus Arman. Now, I don't know if either one of them would accept that fight. I'm pretty certain Justin would not, But I think that those are kind of the conversation starters. And then that also sort of clears the UFC to be like, hey, we tried to make this number 1 contender fight, and Paddy, and that's what the champ wants, and blah blah blah. They'll justify themselves. I still see that as the most likely outcome.
Dude, I feel like Justin Gaethje really fumbled the bag by not just fighting Paddy Pimblett earlier this year. I feel like that was a decent fight that was going to guarantee him the next title shot. And now, like you said, they're just like, hey, what about Arman Tsarukyan? You know what I mean? It's like, whoa, well, you're fighting You're fighting potentially a guy that could be the best guy in the division. I don't know. By the way, with Ilia Topuria as well, surely he's like Paddy Pimblett, Arman Tsarukyan, same amount of money. And
That's
I want the Islam Makhachev fight. Why
that's
would he
factoring
even
in,
think about Arman?
Yeah, that's factoring in as well. And Ilya is the most confident person ever, but like he's also no dummy.
Yeah.
I mean, so yeah, that's also kind of factoring into like my prediction that's where we'll end up, is that Ilya won't mind taking a Paddy fight. It is the bigger fight, and on paper the easier fight, and typically that's a smart decision for all fighters.
Hey, by the way, that Arman Islam Makhachev fight would have been absolutely sick, right? And I still think Arman gives Islam a much harder fight than Ian Garry after what we saw against Belal today, which was, for me, just a frustrating fight to watch. I think first things first, Brett, the eye poke at the start, I was just like, you got to be shitting me, dude. Belal has the worst luck in the world. 30 seconds into the fight, gets a bad eye poke, which doesn't look like he really recovered from until later in the fight when he started kind of doing a little bit better.
Yeah.
What are we doing with these eye pokes? Should we start taking point? Like, do we do the warning in the back, especially with someone like Belal, who is literally has bad eye issues? Do we give the warning in the back and then do we take a point, or what do we do here, man? These eye pokes are killing me.
Allegedly, that is what we are meant to be doing. Like, we are supposed to be giving the warning in the back, and we are supposed to be taking the point, and that's been the case for a very long time. I mean, you heard Dean say that like that has been the rule. We just haven't been enforcing the rule, and I don't know why in MMA, but I actually think I do know why. But I kind of don't know why in MMA, like, we keep talking about things like they're going to change, and then we never change anything. Like, as a sport, that's just kind of sort of been our MO. We're very slow to change, which this sport isn't the only one to do that. But I think the reason why it's still hard for these referees to take a point, and I said this before, so I'll keep it brief, but in a 3-round fight, 1 point is like the equivalent of taking away 2 touchdowns in American football. It's the equivalent of taking like huge 2 goals away in like a football match. It is so significant to lose an entire point that a referee just does not want to intervene like that unless it's egregious. And I can understand that. It's human nature to not want to have a 33% impact on a fight. I mean, you and I fight and I whoop you for 5 minutes, it's a 10-9. And if I happen to accidentally poke your eye and it doesn't really take you out of the fight, like, now we're 9-9, even though I've whooped on you. And I get it. People are like, well, too bad. That's what it is. But that's not a great thing, dude, is to be taking a point every single time a finger happens to go around the eye area. It's not ideal. So I understand why referees have a hard time taking a point, but they need to. I mean, at this point, if it's one or the other, they have to.
I feel like, and you let me know if I'm being too hard on Ian Garry here, but I feel like the fight was a little bit of a mess for both guys. For Belal, couldn't really establish a takedown early, didn't really get going till later on in the fight. But again, he got eye poked early, so there's a good maybe he couldn't really see properly till later on in the fight. It looked like a pretty close fight. Went into the 3rd round. Ian Garry ended up getting the decision. Felt pretty close to me. But Ian Garry going into this fight, Brett, right? One of the reasons why I'm underwhelmed often by Ian Garry's fights is going into the fight, he was saying he was going to knock Belal out. He wasn't going to be able to stand with him for more than a couple of rounds. And then, Belal went out there and had some success. Like, Belal didn't look the greatest either. But all in all, it was just like one of those fights. It's like, it's just like, for me, this isn't the kind of performance you get a fight with Islam Makhachev for the welterweight belt with, right? Especially after what we saw Islam do.
Well, Dennis,
JDM.
You can't go to a drama movie and expect it to be an action, man. I mean, it doesn't matter what the promo said, like, you got to know what you're going into. Like, Ian Garry is never going to be the guy who goes and takes a head clean off, like his mentor and his idol, Conor McGregor. I shouldn't say mentor, I should say idol. I mean, he's going to sell himself like that because that's just what Ian Garry does. He says things, he talks a lot, and he knows what he should say to help sell things, but he's not that kind of fighter. And that's okay. Like, once you embrace that he's not that kind of fighter, I actually am a fan of this sport so much to the point that, like, do what makes you good. Do what makes you the best. I don't need to see him out there throwing haymakers to try to appease the crowd. Like, Ian Garry is a very good technical point fighter, so just be that. So that's what he was tonight. I actually didn't mind his performance. The eye poke thing is annoying and it threw some things off right away, but I thought his takedown defense was very good, and that's what you need if you're going to be fighting Islam Makhachev. So I think that he's smart, he's well conditioned, he has shown now good takedown defense. Now he has shown a lot of experience. I mean, the guy has banked a lot of rounds in the UFC. So I actually am pretty interested in him fighting Islam Makhachev, but that comes with the caveat of I don't expect him to floor Islam Makhachev. Like, if he beats Islam, it's probably going to be how he wins, and that is, some 49, 46 decision in which he stuffs takedowns and jabs a lot.
Who is your front runner 170 right now, would you say? Who would you like to see get it, and who do you think will get it?
Front runner would be Usman, because I just think with the name.
White said he's the greatest welterweight of all time or whatever, so it's probably happening.
The name, the story. I feel like Kamaru has realized that he's got to sell it as like, hey, I'm going back and I'm winning the belt and I'm going to defend it. I'm going to defend it, because they wouldn't give it to him if they thought he was going to potentially win a fight and then laid down his gloves. So now in every interview, you hear him talking about how I'm going to defend it. I'm going to fight all these young up and comers after I win the belt. So I think that it'll go to Kamaru because of history and name recognition and this and that. And Ian could wait and fight the winner potentially, but we'll have to see. I mean, the Shavkat thing really throws it off because Shavkat's right there, and Shavkat has already beat Ian Garry. So I think there's a lot for us to talk about in terms of what that means in welterweight. But I do think sitting here right now, I would put the favorite at Usman.
All right, guys, taking a quick break to thank our sponsors. First up, Manscaped. Look at this white-hot Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra. Make sure to jump on this bad boy today. 15% off with the code word submission, plus free shipping now. And you can get 15% off the entire website. I'm talking about the most comfortable underwear that you're going to wear. I'm talking about the Beard Hedger, which is what I use to make sure that my beard is in shape and ready to go for the program. And, of course, you got the Weed Whacker for your nose hair, too. You got all sorts of potions and lotions that get you sorted as well. Manscaped is your one-stop shop for everything that you need when it comes to your body and feeling good. Just one more time, have a look at this bad boy. Of course, you could get the different color variations as well in the black, but this is a limited edition right here that you could pick up in Manscaped today. 15% off with a code word submission. You could use it in the shower. You charge it once, put it in your bag. Doesn't go off like a vibrator, which is hopefully not an issue for you. Make sure you can use it discreetly and easily. Keep your boys smooth downstairs. Manscaped is the place to do it. So make sure to jump on right now. Support the guys right now. 15% off with a code word submission. Free shipping. Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra in the white hot, or you get the original OG black, which is also awesome. And the Beard Hedger as well. Like I said, one of my favorites out there too, the Weed Whacker. Just so many products on Manscaped that you can't say no to. It's Christmas almost around the corner. Surprise that special person in your life with some Manscaped in their life. And also, of course, the boxes are beautiful. Open these bad boys up. It's just a great gift altogether. Just have to wrap it lightly, put it under the tree. You're all sorted, and you help the program. 15% off with a code word submission. And I want to welcome back our friends at NordVPN, who are giving you the best discount off your NordVPN plan. Go to nordvpn.com/submission right now. You get an extra 4 months on the 2-year plan for free. That's right. Extra 4 months on the 2-year plan for free. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Of course, you could click the link in the description below. Try it risk-free right now with a 30-day money-back guarantee. And, of course, pick up that great deal where you get all those months for free. Of course, NordVPN, best VPN out there. And if you guys want to watch your sports, I know the NBA season is crazy right now. It's across about 25 different networks. All your favorite movies, all your favorite TV shows dispersed over about 100 different streaming platforms. What about discounts to signups for different streaming services, for different products, for travel, all sorts of stuff? You could get it cheaper by changing it to different countries. And of course, NordVPN protects your information during this Christmas period as you're shopping. Make sure no one steals your credit card information. Takes away all your information, so you got to reset all your passwords. NordVPN has you sorted. It protects you, it looks after you, and it gives you access to all of the best sports around the world. Next year, it seems like having a VPN would be a good idea to have. to watch all your favorite sports all over the world. NordVPN.com has you sorted. NordVPN.com/submission right now. Pick up this deal today. Get across it now. You're not going to regret it as we go into the Christmas season with so many big sports being played and you guys having to be across about 3,000 different networks and streaming platforms to watch it. Do you get Ian Garry to fight again, like maybe a JDM fight to really seal the deal or something like that?
Man, I think he's reached the point that maybe he'll decline. Maybe Machado Gary would actually be like, no, dude, like I just cruised past Belal. So, and you know, with Brady getting knocked out, like he's got a very strong. You know, if you're gonna sit, you got to have a very strong like case built up. You know, and I think he's now won 10 of his last 11. Like that's a very, very strong resume that, like, you know, the UFC never likes it when you sit or you turn down fights, but if you have created some leverage, you can get away with it. And I think he has. I think Machado Gary has. And plus he's got that win over Carlos Prates. So anything Carlos Prates does, it's like Machado Gary can still say he's ahead of him, you know? So yeah, I think maybe he'd wait.
I mean, if Kamaru Usman was open to it, I'd love to see him have one more fight before the belt. And that maybe him and Ian Garry could have been a good one.
Yeah.
Or, him and a couple of the other contenders. Because, we got Morales there, but he's not quite there. But, you know, he's such an interesting matchup for Islam. I feel like Prates, as impressive as he was against Leon Edwards, it's just that grappling threat, right? Like, I feel like he needs another one because Islam, we just feel like Islam would take him down. Shavkat was there tonight, but again, no updates on where he's at physically. I feel like that would be an incredible fight. Yeah, and Kamaru Usman, it just seems like they're going to do that. Maybe like do you think that's the White House fight there, the Islam Kamaru? Or do you think they try the Topuria? They try to get that one done and then, he wouldn't fight twice though. Islam would only fight once.
You're just kind of assuming Islam's going to be on the White House, huh? I don't know, man. I think they'll go Conor McGregor on the White House, and then they won't have Habib and his team at the White House.
Yeah. Well, you can't have both. You can't have both in the building.
That's what I mean. So I think
just saw what happened
at the White House, and then you got, you know, Islam fighting in May or July. You know, probably July. You see them in, but maybe maybe July. But I don't see them both on the White House. And as of right now, I trust, you know, Conor McGregor deleting his social media and wanting to be on that White House card. Like I tend to think that he'll be on it. So then I tend to think that Islam won't.
It makes more sense him versus Michael Chandler, right? Chandler's kind of like the American dude.
Yeah.
You put that fight on the White House. And then do you think John Jones is on that card as well?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, I do.
It's just hard for me to imagine either Conor or Jones fighting again, but
it was too. But then you dangle that White House thing, man, and it's like it's laser focused on them again. You know, it's just like you got to give those guys a reason to want to fight. Like they lost motivation, which why wouldn't they? Like fighting's hard, and they both got rich, and they both won a lot of fights. So now you got to tease them with something else, and I think they found it in the White House.
I mean, the only way I feel like they get that Islam fight on there is if John falls through, maybe Conor pulls out, and then they throw massive money and really ask Islam to fight Ilia Topuria.
Which that happens all the time, right? I mean, like, wouldn't that be the most UFC thing ever? Is that they scramble and replace the card on 24 hours notice at the White House? Like that would just
yeah. Well, we've got like $60 million to play with. Got 60 mil. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
You know, let's get this going. I don't know. All right. Well, there he is there, Brett Okamoto. We're coming up to one of the last cards of the year, but coming up next will be UFC 323, man. That's going to be in a couple of weeks. Pumped about it. Final pay-per-view of all time for you guys.
I'm pumped. I don't like
some weird fights on there, like the Cejudo Talbott fight. I'm still like trying to figure out if I like that fight or not. I guess like it's kind of like give the guy the rub before you leave the territory type thing. Like,
yeah. I mean, I think I speak for everybody that would like, you know, the UFC is not ending this relationship with a bang. You know, they're kind of just letting it end, which is business. But I feel like that's disrespectful to say about Merab because Merab is like kind of must see at this point. Like I really enjoy everything that is Merab. I understand that sometimes his fights can be 25 minutes in which you kind of feel like you've seen it before and you're seeing it again. It's just a rerun on a rerun, but that's impressive, man. When like you just and you can do the same thing to everybody, and everybody knows what it's going to look like. But it's just like you see these guys wilt under him. So I think it's kind of cool that the UFC really didn't like Merab, and now all of a sudden they love Merab, and so he's headlining the very, very final card on ESPN. Like there's like a comedic irony in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, man, I mean, of course, I am pumped for it in the sense of the last 7 years was a great ride in my own personal career, and I got to do some very cool stuff through that partnership, and I still think I'm going to do plenty of fun stuff after that partnership ends. But yeah, it'll be kind of nostalgic and for all of us at ESPN, because it was 7 years like with that partnership and having the set in all the arenas, and there's just certain perks and access that comes with the partnership that was cool, you know. So that'll be a little sad that that's ending, but it was a good ride.
Yeah, man. Well, I love the cover. You got some special stuff coming out with any of the guys for this one? Pantoja maybe, or Merab or something?
No, I think it'll be pretty, you know, we were very, like, the schedule has been actually pretty tight, you know. It's just like last week was New York and then Thanksgiving already. And, you know, with Merab turning right around, sometimes it's hard to find storylines with Merab. So then you just got to appreciate what the story is. And it's the obvious one. It's that, man, this guy's fighting again, you know, which is just incredible. So I don't think we have anything too crazy, but, you know, just that also doesn't mean we'll still do all the interviews and all of the normal pre-fight stuff for this one.
There'll be crazy stuff happening. But anyway, dude, I appreciate you. Thanks for joining me. Have a great Thanksgiving. And there we are. An interesting card in Qatar just finishing, solidifying Arman Tsarukyan as who should be fighting next. But we'll see what happens with the division. There he is, Brett Okamoto, the best in the game. Thanks for joining me, my friend.
Anytime. Thanks, Dennis.